All right, I guess we're ready. Ready for the roll call?
Are we supposed to be waiting for anybody else? Okay, great.
Ms. Cooper Payton,
Here.
Ms. Harrell,
Here.
Ms. Hetland,
Present.
Mr. Jacobson, Ms. Jones is excused, Ms. Orcherton is excused, Mr. Patterson,
Here.
Ms. Salmon is excused, and Ms. Snyder.
Here.
Okay, I guess go to the changes for the agenda, if there are any. It looks, I guess we can go for the approval of the previous minutes. Can I have a second? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I move to approve the minutes, and Barbara second. Okay, and then I guess we'll move to the public input. There is none. All right. I guess we'll move to the grant presentations, right? All right. All right. For a vote to approve the previous minutes. Everybody, aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. And I guess we can move to the grant presentations. Yeah. And we'll be having Emily Knox for Makerspace Urbana.
Hi, so I'm here from Makerspace Urbana to talk about Heartland Maker Fest. This was our 7th year doing some sort of maker fair / fest here in the community. We started out as a mini maker fair, and we were at the Independent Media Center, and then we moved over to Lincoln Square Mall, I think 3 years ago, and we rebranded ourselves as Heartland Maker Fest. So this is, you guys have actually supported us every year. I'll talk about some of the things that we did a little bit differently this year, what we're hoping to do next year. So last year, wow, we were held on October 15th at Lincoln Square Mall. We had 30 makers from Central Illinois. I'm not sure why it says 15, it should say 1,500 attendees, sorry. And it's primarily the work of a committee of 6 members of Makerspace Urbana. This is a list of all of our makers. So it's a nice mix of all sorts of people. We encourage anybody who makes anything to come and show off their stuff. So if you are someone who knits and you do beautiful sweaters and you just want to show them off, you're welcome to do that. We are not really for selling things, though some people do sell their items, but really just to show a cross-section of all the different making that happens around here in Central Illinois. And I think that shows here. So for example, we have the kids who do Control Z, First Robotics. They have this robot. They've actually had several robots. I think this robot like throws balls. So that was there. And then we have people who just are showing off like their drones or whatever they happen to make. We had 3 performers, and I should say Moldover. Sorry about these errors. And that's always a nice addition. What the Arts Grant really lets us do is rent the space at Lincoln Square Mall, and I'm sure you all know that Lincoln Square Mall is going through transition. So we went through some back and forth with how much it would cost us to rent the space. They, in fact, hadn't charged us 1 year for it. And so working next year to see, like I had to say, well, can we get a discount because we're a 501c3 through Independent Media Center, and so it was a bit of negotiation. But we like having it at Lincoln Square Mall because it's a free event, and that's really what the grant allows us to do. A lot of maker fairs and maker fests they charge a nominal fee, which I think is actually not worth it to even charge those nominal fees that they have, but to have a free event means that everyone in the community can come and see what is available. And that makes a huge difference, and it's really the grant that does that. We don't pay our makers. We charge them nominal fees, which we often don't collect, because if you've been a maker before, we don't charge the fee. It's more of a game theory thing to make sure that people show up, so we charge $15 a table. But it's just really important to us at Makerspace that this be a free event. Okay. So these are our sponsors: Makerspace Urbana, Urbana Public Arts Program. We get in-kind sponsorship from Weiskamp and Dixon, and then Acorn Active Media, which is not really active at the moment. They always give us $1,000 every year. And these are just pictures of some of the things that went on at the fest this year. So this is actually the Makerspace table. We did button making, which is always super popular. And we also did light up paper. So you put LEDs, you have the kids draw whatever they want. This is especially good for like little ones. And then we put LEDs in it so it lights up. I think this is dank beads, and so kids could make their own beading things. This is Scott Weidman's Hive Touch, and he just had the kids play with it. I can't remember this person's name, but they had their, Nathan, had their own spinning wheel, which is always really cool to see people do that. This is an electronic loom. These are women from the community. They have homemade items that they bring to sit and talk to people about. And then everybody we encourage to have something that people can make at their table. So it's not, even if you're selling things, there's still like an activity area, so people are making things. This is me button making. With some kids. And so we've already secured the space for October 13th, 2018. We'll be applying for a grant again. You can find out more information about us at these two URLs. We really encourage anybody and everybody to be a maker. So I didn't have a picture, but one of our favorite makers, her name is Caroline. She first was a maker with us when she was 8 years old, doing cardboard cutouts for doll houses. This time she did PVC pipe, did different things that you can do with PVC pipe. So if you know people who would be interested, we really would like anybody. Or if you are interested to show off whatever you do, we would love to have you as well. We'll start the call for makers probably around June, but our first meeting of the committee will happen probably later this month. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the Heartland Maker Fest. Oh, I did want to say some problems that we had. So since Art Mart closed, we've been having fewer and fewer people come to Lincoln Square Mall, which is not surprising, of course. So this year we really tried to bump up our marketing. It is difficult, but we were able to negotiate with for a billboard. And so we had one by the Latitude, one of those digital billboards, and then 2 more billboards out of town. And that only cost us, I think, $800. It wasn't very expensive to do that. And so I think that's something we're going to really push next year to try to spend more on the billboards. We also forgot to say that it was a free event on the billboards, and that was something I realized after the billboards went up. And try to encourage more sponsorships with those billboards. Any money that's given to us goes right to Makerspace Urbana, so people who, if we get an abundance of funds, it just goes right into our regular programs for Makerspace. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about the fest or what we're doing or Makerspace or anything.
Anybody got any questions?
I think what you're doing is great. I was, in addition to the content and you know, that you're providing and the activities you're providing, I have to say I was a little bit intrigued by your comment about using billboards and using an electronic billboard. We've had a controversy on City Council that I serve on about whether we would permit electronic billboards in Urbana. And I have so far been a minority. I've been in favor of replacing some of the static billboards with electronic billboards, partly on the grounds that the company was willing to negotiate that a fraction of the space and the time on the billboards would go to public service announcements, such as projects supported by the Public Arts Commission. And of course, if you noticed a mistake on an electronic billboard, you just send the company a file,
Right.
and it would go right up in its corrected version.
Right.
So I hope at some point to revive that discussion. And I hope you don't mind if I point to you. I mean, I'm not asking you to endorse it, but I might point to you as an example, and actually all the projects supported by this commission as examples of what would benefit from permitting that technology in Urbana.
So I was mostly surprised at how cheap it was. I suspect that they charge for-profit companies quite a bit. You know, that was really the main thing for me, is that I was just like, well, because they essentially negotiated with us. She gave us some number, and I said, well, I can only give you $700 or $800, and she said, fine, you know, we'll do what we can for that amount. And so I don't know, it is cheaper for them to do digital, so they would have done more digital. I don't know all the different technical terms that they used, but we negotiated that 3, which seems perfectly reasonable to me, to spend that amount of money for 3 billboards for a nonprofit project. It's an investment, but it was one with the support of the grant, actually, that we were able to take on. And it was fun to see, you know, when you drive down University and you saw the billboard and you're like, other people are seeing this too, and we could also highlight our sponsors that way. And I think that made a big difference for us.
I have a question about that. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there some controversy because it might be a safety issue, that people would get distracted reading the sign instead of watching it while they're driving, or what's the controversy?
Well,
I'm just curious.
Tacky.
They're tacky. I can understand that.
well, I mean, I don't think they're tackier than flat billboards.
Depends on the content, huh?
The controversy, yeah, people talked about safety, but there are studies. I mean, they're no less, you know, they're no more unsafe than a flat billboard. I think it was, I don't know, there was some sort of history with that company that had made who is now the former mayor, deeply hostile to them.
I see.
And so at a certain point, it might be appropriate to revive that. I mean, you can, there are concerns about illumination, but, you know, their company was completely agreeable to, you know, limitations on the illumination so that it would be sort of equivalent to a brightly lit conventional billboard. There was an offer, you know, there's tremendous billboard clutter at University and Lincoln, and company offered to remove all of just put up one double-sided electronic board and remove all of the other billboards at that intersection. which I think is a very dangerous intersection. Actually, I think that would have improved the safety. So, you know, that's my side of the story. You might want to talk, you may find a different side from
No, I was
somebody
just
else.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, I honestly thought it was a no-brainer, but I clearly wasn't able to carry the day.
Well, perhaps maybe your makers that are sharing in the space might be able, if they want their name participating on the billboard or the electronic meeting, whatever it is, maybe they could share in the cost of it too, as part of their participation.
Yeah, so my thought would actually be to get the sponsors to share more in the cost. So we would raise the sponsorship level to get your information on the
Yeah.
billboard.
So, let me just follow up on that. The critical billboard that you're talking about, I believe, is the one on University Avenue. You're driving into Urbana, but you're still in Champaign.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, right, so Champaign gets the revenue, but we could at least put a message up.
Well, we want to get the revenue to come towards our programs, right?
Well, we sure do, and I've got to see when I could raise that issue again.
Kind of on a different note, I was wondering, are you familiar at all with Pachacata Night
Yes.
in town?
And I've given one.
Oh, you have
actually,
given one.
Yeah.
Have you given one about this festival?
I haven't given one about the fest. I did mention it. It was about Makerspace.
Okay.
Is the one that that's the one that I gave.
Okay,
But
well,
I will
the
see if-
timing sometimes is really good for these kind of events. Like, they
Yes.
usually do it at Pygmalion, so that would
Right,
be like
right.
leading right up to your event next year. So maybe something like that could help get the word out, especially since it ties in so much with the Made Fest and.
Yes, and actually we've had problems with the Made Fest. We have had people who have applied to the Made Fest, but they had meant to apply to the Maker
okay.
Fest. We thought about changing our timeline, but getting our fest ready to go earlier in the year just would not be feasible for us.
I just wanted to share with you, Emily, that I know like marketing can be such a challenge for everyone, but I specifically remembered suddenly seeing a Maker Fest billboard. Probably it was the university one. And I thought, wow, they're really going to town on the advertising this year, because I'm in probably the circle of people that usually hear about everything going on with Makerspace. And I really saw it as a great way to reach out to other people in the community. So I'm glad that you were able to negotiate a rate that was feasible for you
Yeah.
all, because it really, I think, did make a difference. And I heard a lot of people talking about it who didn't know that it had this longer history because they had seen some of the additional marketing. So
Okay, well,
I
I'm
think it
really
was
happy to
good.
hear that. I'm really
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
I
'Cause
just wanted
it's
to
almost
affirm that.
impossible to get feedback to hear where people.
And I would say the one that
things.
was just outside of Champaign on the way to Springfield,
Mhm.
we saw that one and noticed it.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
too,
great.
and we're excited to see that.
Great.
All right, well, thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Ready for the monthly progress report? All right.
Thanks, Emily. Good evening, everybody. All set. Here is your January staff report. It's a bit shorter. I think there's a couple of things we have updates on, but with, some time away for the holidays and things like that, there's probably less than I would normally have. But the main thing, of course, on our agenda is that applications are open and available for the Urbana Arts Grants. The commission is giving $47,000 out as part of the Arts Grant program in 4 categories. I've done a number of workshops so far to help solicit those applications and reach new populations. And the deadline is set for February 16th with review and juries and approval then by the Public Arts Commission, all taking place at the end of February, beginning of March, so that we'll be able to give notice towards the end of March and have the projects begin in April as they normally do. So these are the two remaining grant workshops that I have scheduled. There are talks of potentially one more that would take place at Salt and Light in Urbana, the new location. They have an education space, and we're in communication about a potential workshop there. But these two are scheduled, and they're the week after next, 2 days in a row. The first is on January 25th from 12 to 1, and that's at the Garrett's Gallery at Parkland College. And the second one is January 24th from 2 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon at Spurlock Museum. We've had them take place so far at the Independent Media Center, the Urbana Free Library, and I'm forgetting the other one. School of Art and Design at the University of Illinois. So I've tried to bring it to different parts of the community, and I have sent copies of the presentations to people who've asked, including professors on campus or people who work in organizations and want to share them, nonprofit organizations. So I have sent it as kind of an accompanying thing to people who have questions about the arts program too. And I'm happy to do that if anyone wants to request it.
I'm just curious, what's your general attendance at each workshop?
That's a great question. I'd say that it started off, my first one I believe was at the Independent Media Center, or no, it was at the School of Art and Design, and that one had probably about 20 people in attendance. The Independent Media Center had probably about 20, maybe a little over, and then the Urbana Free Library was very small attendance, so that was a very intimate one. I can't remember the exact number of people. So it seemed that people had largely attended the first couple that I offered, but these two are kind of different locations than the ones that I've done around Urbana. So we'll see if it's a different population, for instance, out at Parkland, or especially if we do one at Salt and Light. I'd be excited to do something there since it hasn't been used as an event space. Part of the reason why we're in talks is because I think I might be the first outside person coming to give a workshop in their new education space. So they're in the process of even developing a space policy.
Are they ready?
Yeah, it's. I don't know if you've been there. It's a wonderful
No,
space.
I live in that neighborhood though, but
It's a wonderful space, and it's got a lot of kind of workshop or classroom spaces. So they're hoping to offer more educational programming. So it'll be exciting if that works out to do one there. But a great space to consider for other kinds of meetings too.
well, if it doesn't, let me know. I can seat 50 in my studio.
Oh.
And I'm in the neighborhood.
Perhaps another good location. Yeah, so in general, I'm very open to giving. This presentation that I've put together does go over the breadth of programming from the public arts program in general, and then goes into specifics about the grant. My hope is that it's a very transferable presentation, that we can later use it for other initiatives. So for instance, to keep that general information about the public arts program and then supplement it with information about our sculptures program or other kinds of programs, so that it's also something that can continue to serve the public arts program. So if there are places that you think don't know about the public arts program that you think ought to know, I have kind of a ready-made presentation. I'm happy to go out and do that kind of outreach, so I guess keep that in mind. Murals on Glass has a couple of big things happening this week that we hope everyone comes out and enjoys. Our murals were installed at the end of November, I believe, and excuse me. We've had a bit of media coverage about both the murals, and excited for that to continue this week, because this week on January 10th, so tomorrow, we have a reception and ribbon cutting at Phillips Recreation Center for South Farm Number 9 by Kelly Hieronymus. This is the mural that's up on the Recreation Center, and it will be at 12 p.m. roughly for about an hour. We'll have just refreshments, an opportunity to meet the artist, hear a little bit about her and her work, and there'll also be a ribbon cutting there, so we hope you come out and join us for that. Similarly, there'll be one the next day here at the City Building, also at noon. Everyone in the public's invited to come. We'll also have a ribbon cutting for this mural, and offer refreshments and a chance to meet the artists. So do come out for those things. These are really a celebration of these murals, which will now be up on these buildings for the next 2 years. We are expected to have CI Living there and UPTV coverage, and hopefully a few others. There was a press release that went out this week about that. So these are some pictures of the murals if you haven't seen them yet. They're very striking, and hope you get a chance to check them out. If you do and want to snap a photo and put it online, you can tag it with Art in Urbana or hashtag Murals on Glass, and we can find those photos and therefore share them in the newsletter or other things. Our Art Now this month features Liza Silvestre. Liza is a MFA student at the University of Illinois. Her work explores the sensory experience and a variety of sensory experiences. She's inspired by her own experience with hearing loss, and she's a multimedia artist. So she uses video and drawing and mixed media. So it's a great chance to check out, yet again, a different arts medium being represented through Art Now. This is the January artist, and it's available on the YouTube channel for UPTV6, as well as it's airing regularly this month. Art in the Square continues to be our partnership with the Urbana Business Association. Our next one is going to be this Saturday, and we try to offer both an activity for families and a performance of some kind. And those performances are rather condensed, but they start at 10 a.m. if you do want to come out just for the performance piece. We've had our booth kind of move around a little bit there, so I'm not sure where I'll be on Saturday, but come and find me if you'd like to see what's happening with our arts program in the square. A new initiative that I mentioned last month is us coming together with the Urbana Free Library, and that's our Young Artist Studio, which is a monthly workshop for youth exploring a different art form. We're going to feature 3 different artists February, March, and April. They're going to be from 3 to 3:45 on Sundays. The dates are here on your agenda, but February 11th, March 11th, and April 15th. And they're open to primarily youth, but anybody can come and partake. And they're going to be in the children's library downstairs. Just a quick social media marketing report. We've seen increases in all areas except for our newsletter, but we had a big rush of things on our newsletter in November with the Art Expo and a number of things. I didn't bring the newsletter sign up to the last workshop I gave, so I'm going to bring it to the next 2, and I expect to see that increase too. We continue to invite people to tag images, and we're going to try to share those and include them not just in our newsletter, but maybe online on our social media accounts too. And if you know anyone who's interested in volunteering with the program, our volunteer application has continued to get applicants, so I'm excited to kind of watch that grow and inviting those volunteers to come and participate right now in Art in the Square. Come join me if I'm giving a workshop and get familiar with the arts program. My hope is to do a more formalized orientation for volunteers in the next few weeks to get them more familiar with the arts program in general, and perhaps even set up regular hours for them to assist in things like marketing, hanging flyers around town, assisting with different kinds of social media and other kinds of marketing support. And lastly, this is just a quick mention, the Urbana Public Arts Program provided a letter of support recently to an application from 40 North to become the next location for One State Together in the Arts, and that's actually the 2018 location. If you're not familiar with this conference, it brings together, it's sort of a biennial convening of arts advocates, administrators, artists, funders, educators, and it brings roughly, I think, somewhere in the realm of 300 some people to convene at this conference. So it's not a huge conference, but it's a wonderful meetup to talk about kind of state trends, and we hear about the state of the state and all of that. We're very hopeful about this. What happened was they actually canceled the conference that was supposed to take place last year, and I think 40 North was also kind of like, or Champaign-Urbana, I should say, was in the running then, and we were invited to kind of stay involved and provide more letters of support. So I provided one, and a number of other partners in the area have provided one, so keep your fingers crossed for that, because I think it would be really fantastic to have that here. Myself, and I know Barbara and Pat and a few others, I'm not sure who else in this room, might have attended the Illinois, not the Arts Council, the Arts Alliance,
Arts Alliance,
meet up recently, and that was really informative too. So I imagine this has a similar, but however, statewide, opportunity for us all to talk about trends. So keep your fingers crossed about that. And that's sort of the last thing I was going to mention. I've got some quick images over the past few months that I've been here in this role that I just wanted to share with you. The most recent in the top left corner of your screen is actually David Michael Moore, who's a local artist, participating in a tabling event I had most recently on Friday at Urbana First Friday's Urbana flag design competition. And if you were there, the winning flag was Christina Reese's flag that she designed. As sort of an informal flag for Urbana, but he was participating in writing what Urbana arts means to him. So we did an activity with that. I uploaded some of those pictures recently, and the rest are just from our expo, us receiving the Best Midwest Food Town Awards and having an arts festival and the murals. So excited to see what this year brings, especially given that it's our 10th anniversary of the Public Arts Program. And that's all.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any announcements? All right. Well, I guess I'll move to adjourn. Can I have a second? We are adjourned.